What a horrible night to have a curse.
We're not cursed, it just took forever.
God, I feel like I've been battling all day.
I do mean that. You might be used to games having day-night transitions. You might be used to games having different monsters that appear at night. What you might not be used to is having a game that actively discourages you from exploring at nighttime by making it incredibly dark and making the monsters incredibly numerous and hard to kill. Yeah.
Time to meet the chocobos.
The other thing is that it still gives you this fucking smells like chocobo side quest at night, even though you can't find the chocobos at night, and you have to camp out to get the chocobos to come back.
And then restart the side quest is what.
Yeah, which means you have to come back to this area, get the side quest again, and find the chocobos. Unfortunately, the chocobos you cannot ride. This is simply a sightseeing quest, and I do kind of like this element of the game because the side quests in this area are more like stuff that you decide to do as a group of friends rather than you're this adventurer guy that everyone is going to for trouble because they can't fucking solve their own problems or find their own chocobos or kill their own goddamn gorillas.
Hey guys, want to go see it?
There are off the top of my head, there's 3, 4, 5 side quests that you can do, not counting the tours that you do with your party members. 2 of them.
Oh boy, goblins.
Oh yes, no, actually they're imps, I believe.
Yeah.
And these are the most fucking annoying things at night because they never stop coming. Like, you can cut through these things and they will keep coming like a Sea of Orcs in a Lord of the Rings movie.
And we're not Aragorn.
Not yet.
No,
Anyway.
actually, for once, Final Fantasy has a more realistic take on combat than Lord of the Rings. I am shocked, but actually, pretty much everything that you do in this game, as far as character movement and combat goes, is something you could almost be expected to do in real life. I mean, sure, you can wield a really big fucking sword, but it's something that you use very, very slowly. And the way your character moves is much more in line with, what an actual person could accomplish. You take fall damage from a pretty damn low height by video game standards in this game. And
2 feet, I'll never make it.
And when you're running around, you even, trip over small obstructions and whatnot. It's refreshing for a Final Fantasy game. But at the same time, it takes a lot of getting used to, especially considering this is the series that gave us Advent Children and Dissidia.
Considering the sheer number of imps you're fighting right now, it's a miracle they don't decide to attack you on a campsite.
No, you have a fire there and a tent, which
No,
makes it safe.
no. You're forgetting, John. The campsites in this game bring back that magical circle of protection thing that Final Fantasy IV had going.
True.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
forgot that was like an in-game lore explanation for the save points as opposed to it just being a save point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the campsites have these big magical, very obvious rune circles around them in this game, which is what makes specific places campsites and why you can't just camp by the side of the road.
Yeah. And there are, I'm sure, numerous things we're going to talk about when it comes to gameplays and mechanics, but can we all agree this game just looks phenomenal?
Oh, it
Yes,
looks
absolutely
even in
gorgeous.
480p. It looks very nice.
This game has a magnificent lighting engine, and I discovered that as early as, well, not as early, it's kind of late game in the demo, but the caverns. Because we're kind of jumping the gun here, fighting the goblins here, or imps, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to fight them when you go inside the caves.
Yeah.
And in there, you can just really see the effort they put into the lighting engine, the way the light reflects off the goblins, the shadows they cast, everything that you do. Good God. I mean, this game may have taken 10 years to develop, but it wasn't all for naught, visually.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also, you have to realize that since this game was originally being developed for
Thank you, tutorial message. Ferocious predators lurk in the night. Find a place to... You don't say.
Nah, really?
You might as well tell Frodo Baggins not to use the ring after Sauron has already spotted him. Jesus Christ.
Evil.
It's just, it's odd looking at this stuff when you realize that there's probably terabytes and terabytes of graphics assets that they just had to dump when they realized that they couldn't develop this game for the PS3 anymore. It had to be a PS4 game. So,
You think so, but actually, a lot of the time, that stuff comes down to texture detail, and and the specifics of the lighting engine and how much is going on at one time, I don't think a lot of these models would have been impossible to use on the PlayStation 3. I think it's just a lot of it has been spruced up.
Yeah, a lot of things probably had to get done and redone and changed, and it's... I would love to see an in-depth history of how this game's development went, because there was a good couple years where Versus 13 just did not exist. Square didn't ever show it off at anything.
Makes you wonder how much of the original Versus 13 is left in 15.
One of the things about Versus 13 specifically, not 15, was that one of the things that the creators were trying to push was trying to tell a story in a new way by truly combining the sort of story you'd get in cutscenes with gameplay. And that was a major stumbling block of development for this game, because they were really trying to push this new idea and make it work, and it was completely... They were trying to not beat the guys who mix cinematics with gameplay by using QuickTime events, essentially. They were trying to, well and truly combine the two worlds into one narrative experience. And I applaud them for that ambition, but I don't think it was... I don't think they had... I don't think they were able to do that yet. Yeah.
It's very hard to do something very scripted in a medium where the player can do whatever they want, because having something scripted by its nature takes control away from the player. It's
ask any good DM, Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master, worth their salt. that way lies madness.
Yeah, the best way to ruin a perfectly good campaign is to have players play it. So,
I want to go north. There's an impassable mountain there. Go east. I want to go west.
Read DM of the Rings. It's the best description of a bad Dungeons and Dragons game I've ever seen.
I'm thinking of Pro Jared's Ballast to Bat story now. Oh man, these imps just won't stop coming, and the worst part is the imps can also poison you, so if you get stuck in a fight against this many imps all at once, odds are you're going to run through your stock of antidotes very quickly. And there are stores in the demo, 2 of them, where you can buy this stuff. But money is not the easiest thing to come by either, because this game seems to go by Final Fantasy XII logic, as far as money is concerned.
Well, let me guess, you don't get Gil from beating monsters. You can collect random
trinkets sell their stuff,
that you can sell for Gil.
And god damn it, a pack of wolves.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not your night today.
This is the kind of shit that happens all the time when you adventure at night, so don't do it. It's like, this is a completely different kettle of fish than the fight with the gorillas, where everything just took a long time to kill, but there were only like 5 of them. No, this is my fight attracting monsters from all the way over there, and the monsters just end up keep coming. And you see this light here? Everything's all bright. Did you notice that?
Magitech people.
Yeah, the Magitech soldiers are storming the battle too, and that's when I just said, fuck it!
There's too many of them. What do we do? Then he puts a tent over his head.
Why did all of those monsters keep on finding us? What was attracting them? Dave, were you playing the battle music at max again? Dave.
Maybe.
If you walk far enough from the enemies, the battle will officially end, and your party members will come back. But whenever you get knocked down, you take injury damage in this, so it's not quite as forgiving as, say, Dragon Age, where you come back and you're back to full health, and you can use like injury items to restore whatever health you have. No, you have to actually rest to get that HP back.
Yeah, you may notice that in this game that music begins to play when you're close to an enemy, and you'll see a red line on the top of the screen.
Yeah.
If that manages to extend the entire way of the screen, that means you're going to fight a battle. So, like right now,
there.
It's very small right now, which means you're in the presence of enemies, but they're not aware of you. But because Lewis is booking it to the campsite, he's giving it away his position.
The worst part about the control in this game, to me, is that the sprint button is also the attack button. So while you're sprinting away, holding the sprint button, sometimes Noctis will turn around and thrust his spear at them.
And make Noctis look very paranoid.
Yeah. This game is not very, it kind of takes the Elder Scrolls approach to to environment exploration, though. You might have noticed that there's a very common feature to open world games that's not present in this game. I'll give you a few seconds if you haven't noticed it to figure out which feature that is. Just look around the screen and see what's not there. That every game has had for the last 2
Minimap.
decades.
I know.
Yeah, there's no mini-map. And to be fair, in this kind of open world environment, it probably wouldn't be terribly useful because there's not a lot of map to be had here. It's just a big open space.
It's really funny that you mentioned that. I didn't notice that immediately because, for one thing, this world does have big set pieces, like the rocky archway in the distance, the crystal thingamajig, whatever that is in the distance. You know, that lets me know where I'm going.
Yeah, but you don't have a map on screen. You just have a destination marker. One destination marker at a time. If you want to check the map, you have to actively pause the game and check the map, which is kind of old school, really. I haven't had, like, Final Fantasy hasn't done that since Final Fantasy 11, really. Maybe Final Fantasy 14 1.0, I'm not sure. But in Final Fantasy 11, you'd have to actively pause the game and check the map to see where you were in the context of the city, which is really fucking annoying in that kind of game. But,
Noctis, I want to go to sleep.
But yeah, let's take a look at the Magitech soldiers, who are completely different from the Magitech soldiers we know, because they're all C-3PO robots. Like, they're battle droids.
Soulless cannon fodder, as the game describes them.
Soulless cannon fodder with built-in suicide bombs, which is something that you have to actively watch out for. But if you knock one of these guys off, the best thing is they take so long getting up that you can Dragoon jump them over and over, and it's the quickest way to kill them. So that's a thing.
Oh, your teammates are getting their ass kicked, though.
Yeah. Because they haven't
Okay,
leveled
guys,
up
you
yet.
take care of this.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got this right. I love you, Gladius.
But yeah, you're pretty useless unless you have MP. So sometimes it is a good idea to just hang out up top and or hide behind something and let your MP bar restore. Like, I've got 19 MP left, and my main mode of attack is spamming Dragoon Jump, which takes MP in this game. I love that they added Dragoon Jump in this game, by the way. It is so fun to pull off. It's easy to miss with, because most enemies, even the mindless animals, will dodge out of the way if they see it coming. But if you manage to pull it off while an enemy is stuck in an attack animation or stunned by another attack, you can do a lot of damage with it.
So do you think the way Noctis can change his battle stance, he can be a person that wields a broadsword or a lance, that he's not just changing his entire class, but rather just his battle stance?
The way Noctis fights is that he combines and weaves different weapon attacks into combinations, so he's not really changing his class or even his battle stance. His battle stance is... He's like Bartz from Dissidia, where he pulls a new weapon out of his ass every 2 swings.
Yeah, it's like he can use Dragoon attacks. That doesn't necessarily make him a Dragoon now.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, he has the Dragoon jump when he's using the spear, but that's about it. But
I'm wondering if, like, that's his entire shtick for the entire game.
Well,
I'm
if
not
he's
really
the only
sure.
character you're going to be controlling, making him versatile is necessary to keep variety.
Now, has that been confirmed? You're only controlling Noctis from beginning to end?
It seems like it. They might have changed it in more recent builds, but although they've updated the demo, they haven't updated it with any changes they made past a certain point. One of the things about episode Duscae is that when it was first released, the combat was oppressively hard. Like, it was really difficult, from what I hear. And they updated it with some changes and balance tweaks that make it...
You can now attack.
Oh, I like how Gladiolus just casually swatted the enemy I was about to Dragoon jump and killed it before I landed. Okay.
Take that, grass.
That's accurate to Final Fantasy IV's gameplay experience.
We just spent 15 minutes trying to go to bed. That is...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, we're not done yet.
Oh, no, not done yet.
No, I'm not going to fight anything else, I don't think. The thing is, I was on my way to the campsite, but then it gave me a side quest to go and find this magicite, so I'm like, what the hey, it's right over there, I'll go do that. That kind of stuff happens a lot in this demo, actually, when you're going through blind and you don't know what you're doing. And to be fair, I wasn't going through blind. This was my third time playing through it, but I didn't exactly have a battle plan as far as in what order I would do everything. I just sort of did everything as it came. And I didn't do everything in the demo. No, I'm not that insane. We'd be here all month if I did everything in this demo.
Is it a safe assumption to say one of those is fighting the fuck, I always forget the name. I brought this up in Final Fantasy IX too.
Titan, was it?
The Catobopaz?
Catoblipas.
The Cato...
No,
Whatever.
I do not fight one of those things.
Okay. Just for interesting tidbit, those are the creatures you can find lakeside during the day. In the original release of the 15 demo, they were just background objects. The update made you can fight them.
Oh, that's nice. I did not know that.
And they will kick your ass.
Well, yeah, that's sort of an instinct that I've come to just accept without thinking about it since Final Fantasy 13 and Xenoblade Chronicles, and especially Xenoblade Chronicles X, is that if you see an enemy that's as large as an elephant or bigger, and you attack that, you are going to die.
And fuck this game for making me hungry.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. This game makes me really want to eat some stuff.
Oh man, the food it's so lovingly rendered.
The amount of detail we put inside this food, the little slices of carrot and beef. And what about gameplay? Gameplay? What about the food?
Well, it
Now
does serve a gameplay purpose.
Yeah, there are two things to note about the food. The food is randomly cooked by your party based on the ingredients that you have in your inventory, which are harvested from monsters and bought from stores. So if you wanted to influence yourself to have a specific meal every camp, I suppose you would only buy a specific combination of ingredients and drop everything else before you camp.
Considering how long the battle took last night, everyone should be eating gorilla.
So if
Yeah.
you don't have any ingredients, will you just not eat that night?
You will have an incredibly lame meal that affords you no benefits whatsoever.
Oatmeal.
And no one ate dinner that night.
Yeah. Looks like it's rocks again.
You will always wake up at the same time, I think, when you go to camp. So I don't think the time that you go to sleep is
Well, it
relevant.
looked like it was almost dusk by the time you got to bed.
Yeah, so you only got an hour of sleep.
The other thing to mention, though, is that after you've reached a campsite, you don't have to worry about traveling there. You can fast travel back to the campsite. And only back to the campsite, which means that you're not going to be able to get to anywhere else in a convenient fashion. But I guess it does help that you can fast travel to different campsites around a different area, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, that's
if you were smart about
somewhat-
which one when you visited last.
Well, it's better than nothing.
It's somewhat similar to how Xenoblade Chronicles did it, where once you reached a landmark, you could fast
Yeah,
travel
but
there, but it seems less
in-
convenient.
In Xenoblade Chronicles, when you reached a landmark, you could travel to that specific landmark, any specific landmark you wanted, from any map in the game at any time, unless it was in a place that was blocked off for plot reasons, like, say, the mines after you beat that boss and it caves in. And there's this entire section of the mines that you just can't get back to after that because it's gone.
There they are.
Yeah.
To the right. And just to give you they are the hardest encounter of the demo. And just to give you an idea how much HP they have, that screen you could get later down the road, they take about 3.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ.
They have a lot of HP, and they do a lot the
They're the
In
ones
other words,
with the
don't
really,
fight them.
They're the ones with the really long necks, right?
Yes.
the lakeside creatures.
Okay. Then
It's really weird how the demo has a super boss.
well, it's a pretty meaty demo for what I can tell. Like, I'm just curious. The Final Fantasy VIII demo that came with Brave Fencer Musashi. How in depth was that compared to this?
I think it was the satellite tower
Yeah,
sequence.
yeah, it was the Dullet test mission, except instead of Selphie being there, Renault was just awkwardly standing in the background of all the cutscenes and acting as your third-party member the entire time, and the translation was atrocious.
The 7 demo was the opening bombing mission. 9 never had a demo, did it?
No, not that I know
The
of.
7 demo was actually pretty interesting, though. It was the opening bombing mission, except Eris was there, much like Renault in the Final Fantasy VIII demo, and instead of just rescuing Jessie along the way out while the timer's going, you also had to rescue Biggs, who was injured in combat with something and is just laying off to the side, off screen. And I don't know why they took that out of the final version, because it looks very much like it should be there, but it's not.
Ah, okay. Maybe set in the remake will reincorporate.
Maybe. That would be interesting.
Okay, so I actually, bringing that up, I have a question. Do you believe that Final Fantasy VII's remake is running off of the 15 graphics engine?
No doubt.
No, yeah,
No,
it's obvious.
It's actually running off Unreal Engine.
Oh.
Really?
Unreal Engine 4, yes. They announced that specifically. And I don't think Final Fantasy 15 is running off the same engine, so...
That?
And you know, I can sort of see it, because Final Fantasy VII's remake actually looks slightly better in the graphics department from the trailer alone.
15 is running off the Luminous engine.
Yeah, so Square's own in-house engine, basically.
Yeah.
I'm surprised then if they made this big fancy engine for Final Fantasy 15 that they're not going to use that for the...
Yeah.
The...
It makes you wonder how strained the development team is when they have to work with 2 different engines for 2 different
You
games.
know, the thing is, Final Fantasy VII, the remake, its trailer didn't say it was exclusive to the PlayStation 4. It just said play it first on PlayStation 4.
Okay,
Yeah.
good
So,
point,
you
good
know,
point.
they're probably planning to port it to, like, all the systems and to PC eventually. So using the Unreal Engine, which is, you know, made for multi-platform at this point.
Well, hold on. Actually, 15 is also multi-platform.
Is it?
Is it
Yeah,
going to be on
it's
Xbox?
not- yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's going to be on Xbox
well,
One
if you
and
could
PC.
get the 15 demo with the Xbox One version of Type 0, it doesn't make much sense for 15 to not be on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that'd
It
be an
is-
ultimate cock
Yeah,
tease.
15's a multi-platform game too, so I don't know why
Interesting.
they would...
Maybe it's just not as easy to port. I don't know. Because...
beats me.
Right, Versus was PlayStation 3 exclusive originally. It was also confirmed to still be PlayStation 4 exclusive after they made Final Fantasy 13 multi-platform. So, yeah, somehow I get the feeling this game was originally designed with PlayStation hardware in mind, and, well, between the shift to the new generation and whatever else, they probably had a hell of a time getting it to work, which might be part of why it's taking so long, even though it's already had so long.
It's the downside of, you know, the further we go up in generation, the games just take
man.
way longer to make.
You know, have you ever wanted to see what the Final Fantasy VIII world map would look like if it were to scale? This is it. Just a whole lot of open grassland and a road ripped straight out of the real world, smack in the middle of it.
There are a few other things that kind of take you out of it. You got the lush green fields, the gigantic lakeside creature, and there's a random water tower in the center of that. It was like, oh, that's right, I'm in modern times.
I think that's supposed to be the point, but
Yeah.
it is still a bit strange. It's certainly unique.
You know, it takes some getting used to, but I kind of like the effect where we have all this very recognizable modern architecture in a world that is a mix of realistic wilderness and fantastical wilderness. Like, okay, the trees and the flat grassland, and just the structure of the place is very realistic. Like, in most open world games, they add a whole lot of needless verticality to things just to make it interesting to traverse, but this is very grounded. But at the same time, you've got Catoblepasses grazing in the distance. You've got all these weird archways of rock going on that are totally not ripped straight out of Xenoblade Chronicles. You got crystal mountains in the background.
You know, there's every time a new Final Fantasy game comes out, there's always this backlash that it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy, even though like
What
every...
does that even mean?
Exactly. This feels much more like Final Fantasy, even though it's got its own distinct style. It keeps enough of the classic kind of fantastical look that's recognizable for people who have only played like a handful of the games, or the most recognizable games, which are 6, 7.
When I think of what it takes for a Final Fantasy game to feel like Final Fantasy, I don't think of the design or the tone of the thing. I think of what you're doing while you play the game. Final Fantasy 15 is very much a party of adventurers traveling around the world to do a thing, you know?
Yeah.
To have adventures and whatnot. It's got that whole NSYNC realistic tone to it, but it's still got that.
Do you think scope has something to do with that?
Scope
when people-
is definitely a major aspect. Yes, because even though Final Fantasy 13 had that party of adventurers thing going on, it didn't feel like a party of adventurers going around the world to have adventures. It felt like a bunch of people running down hallways crying about how hard their lives were.
While walking down a hallway.
There's also
yeah.
the sense of camaraderie too. Like, even though I'm only barely able to hear what these guys are talking about, they sound like they're friends. And just to
Yeah.
bring back Final Fantasy 13 again, nobody in that party liked each other except for
Well,
like.
not until very late in the game. By which point you were probably so disengaged it didn't matter.
Hope respected Lightning. Vanille tried to be friendly with everybody, and Snow was stupid. But basically,
So was too busy trying to take his girlfriend out of the crystal.
yeah. But basically, everybody hated each other in that game. So like the sense of you want these people to be friendly, at least friendly with each other. Like, inter-party conflict is a thing that always happens in these kind of things, but you want to feel comfortable traveling with them, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a Dungeons of Dragons game. No one wants to journey with that guy, and everyone in Final Fantasy 13 was trying to be that guy.
Damn chaotic neutrals.
Man, this sucks.
No, I'm the main character. No, I'm the main character. There is no main character in these quests.
Everyone in Final Fantasy 13 for the first half of or so of the game was trying to be the main character, except for Hope, who you barely play as. But
Well, Hope was a support character, so playing as him's kind of boring.
it's only for the first half of that game that the party feels dissonant, because after I would say after Palimpolum, things start to feel more Final Fantasy-ish as far as how the party works. It just takes way too fucking long for everyone to get there. Also, this is our stand-in for limit breaks and such. Basically chain attacks. And having come recently off a Xenoblade Chronicles binge, I have to say I find these combo attacks incredibly weak sauce compared to, say, the chain attacks in Xenoblade Chronicles, where you actually got to choose different attacks and strategize and construct combinations, and it was much more interesting that way.
They get the job done faster, though.
The most annoying thing about this is that there's a circle that appears next to a party member. So you have to physically go to that party member with your weighty no-canceling out of animations controls, by the way, which is 9 times out of 10 the thing that stops you from getting to a combo attack in time. But the other thing is, the game doesn't give you a really obvious indicator of where these circles appear, so if one happens to appear off screen, odds are you're not going to see it, and you're not going to know to go there.
And to my knowledge, there is no way you can start a cross-chain yourself, right? It
No.
always has to be one of your buddies that has to start it.
Yeah, well, as far as I know.
The random
Like, I never
circles on the
discovered
ground are reminding me a lot of the last story, actually. Because that was a thing that happened a lot in that game, if I remember correctly. Although I haven't played it in probably 3 years, so,
Yeah, look at that. That was cross-chains may not be spectacular in some instances, but they get the job done a lot faster.
considering that it took us like a day to fight those guys last
Took
time.
us all day to fight those things yesterday. Remember yesterday?
I like Gladius's shit-eating grin at the end there.
You know, I see a lot of... in Final Fantasy games, a lot of characters grin like that. I never see that happen in real life.
Yeah, you know what? It's a video game.
It's really creepy.
Stop it.
It looks like you're looking at me like a piece of meat. I am a protagonist, not an object.
My name is Noctis.